We're good with that? We're going to open up 2 images. So go ahead and hit open instead of create new. We're not going to start with from a blank document. So we go ahead and hit open. Come on. And we're going to go to the 704 video drive. And then under 704 video, digital media. And then we're looking for 2 images. It's just boy and girl is what we're looking for. So we're going to open those at the same time. If you hold your control key down, select one. We'll select one, hold your control key down, and then select the other. That'll select both of them at once. Come on. Okay, to be all right with that? Okay, if you notice up top, it's going to give you, you can have 2 open documents at the same time. You've probably figured this out already. So I have 2 tabs up there. I can actually grab those tabs and drag them off of the window. So if you grab both of those and drag them off, it gives you separate images so that you could go back and forth a lot easier. Now you got to be careful if you're editing 2 images at the same time that you have the right image selected as you edit. So like if I have the boy selected, of course you see the boy background. But then if I start editing and think I'm editing on her, I'm not, I'm editing on him. So you got to make sure that you're selected and you've got the right one going on. Okay. Now we could size these up and put them next to each other. There's a little easier way to do that. If you go up to Window, we're going to go up to Window and Arrange. So Window and Arrange, and you'll see there's a whole bunch of different ways. Like if you had 4 things open up, you could line all 4 things up vertically or horizontally. We're just going to go to 2 up vertical because both of our images are kind of going up and down. So click on 2 up vertical, and that's just going to snap those into position. It's a little bit easier to work with. So that was under Window and Arrange, and then 2 up vertical. You good with that? Now the tool we're going to play with today is called the clone stamp. And the clone stamp takes a sample from one spot on your image, and you can put it on, you can start painting with it on another spot on your image. And we're going to do this, we'll do that for this project, and then we're going to get some other touch-up, finishing type stuff in the next project too. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some facial features from her, and we're going to put them on him. Okay, and we're going to use that we're going to do that by using the clone stamp. So the clone stamp is right underneath the paintbrush. It looks like a rubber stamp. So we're just going to click on the clone stamp. And then that's going to be a brush. So when you go out and make sure you've got her selected. And you're going to see you have a brush out there. Okay, and you can size that brush with your brackets. Remember your brackets next to the P key? So get that bracket. Let's start with an eyeball. Pick a left or a right eyeball. And it's coming. Be patient, Padawan. Okay. So make that brush just about the size of the color of her eyeball. Okay, so we've had a couple of you click. If you click, it gives you an error. Could not use the clone stamp because you haven't defined anything. You haven't told Photoshop what you want to clone. So if you happen to do that, just hit OK. What you need to do is hold your Alt key down. If you hold your Alt key down, the Alt key is going to give you crosshairs like a target. Put that target right over the eyeball and then just click. You don't have to click and drag, just click. And if you did it right, move up to her forehead. You should see an eyeball. You see an eyeball? You did it right, so Alt, and then it's a click. Okay, now let's go select our boy. Now don't start painting yet, because we don't want to mess up our background, right? So what are we going to do first? We don't want to duplicate our background this time. We're just going to create a new layer. We're going to create a new blank layer. So come down to your new button. It's the little folded piece of paper. It's a piece of paper with a little corner on it. For mine, it's the plus sign. So we're going to just click on that. That's going to create a new blank layer. That's what we want to do that. Every time we do a facial feature, we're going to switch up that. We're going to add a new layer to that. And I'll show you why in a minute. So now just you're going to come out and you're going to see you still got a hold of her eyeball. And depending on which eye you picked, I'm going to go out here and just start on his eye right over the top. And I'm just going to paint. So click and hold. And as you paint, you'll see her eye start to appear. Do this with us. Okay. Kind of creepy, but kind of cool, right, in a way. Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it with the other eye. Okay, so let's go over and get her other eyeball. So you're going to make sure you got her selected. Get on the middle. Now you've still got a hold of her original eyeball. So I'm going to go and right over the top. What am I holding down? Alt. Hold down Alt, click. That selects her other eyeball. Now I can come over to him. What do I need to do before I start painting? A new layer. So do a new layer. And then I'm going to paint that. And I'll show you why we're doing a layer for each one of them in just a sec. Did you get two eyes? Now check this out. If you're with him selected, if I turn off the background, then you can just see I just have two floating eyeballs. So if you needed to, because they're on separate layers, now I could fine tune that. You can see I've got a little extra skin if I want to fine tune that. I could get my eraser tool. You know, I could grab my eraser tool, make sure the hardness is turned way down so I get a soft edge to it. And then I could come out here and I could get rid of some of that skin tone and really fine tune that and get that in. Whoops, got to make sure you have the right layer selected. You could also do a Control T on those. So if you do a Control T, so if I do a Control T on that eyeball, then I could even size that. If it's off center a little bit, I could move it. If you really wanted to, if you do a right click when you have that selected, remember the flip and stuff? So you have to have the Control T on, the transform on. If you go up higher, there's a warp and there's a distort. So if I do like a warp, well, let's do distort. If I do distort, then I can grab the eye and it doesn't keep that proportion in. I could do all kinds of different things with it. Okay, then you could set that in. And you could also move it around. You could do all kind. You could rotate it. You could do all kinds of stuff with it as long as it's on that individual layer. Cool, right? Now when we do this, when we play with the clone stamp tool in the next project, we'll get into more like what it would really be used for. If you had something that you wanted to get rid of, like if you had somebody in the background of an image you didn't want, you could remove them. You could get rid of just about anything, you know, lettering on a sign, whatever you wanted to do, and replace it. Let's do it one last time. Let's do it with his lips. Let's put her lips over on his, and I want to show you one more little tool that you can use. So clone stamp tool, her. Come over on him, get a new layer, and just do the lips. Yes, to paint them on, yes. You only click once over on her, and then you click and hold to paint on this side. Now let me show you a couple things, because if I kept, when I click and hold over here, look over here what it's doing. See this crosshairs over here? That's my sample. So as I move, as I come around here, I could paint. If I just kept painting, see where it's taking the samples from, and it'll just paint her whole face, because this is staying in proportion to that crosshairs. Okay, I could even do, if I made my brush, so right now I've just got the fine tuning of her lips. If I made my brush huge, look what happens. See, it's the whole image inside of there. So that's all it's really doing, is as you're moving, it's moving along with you, taking the sample. So when you're doing an image, you would have to take a sample quite often, so you're not moving into parts that you don't want. Okay, so for your project today, you're going to finish this one up. So you're going to do, I want 5 layers on him. So you've already got 3. You got 2 eyes and a mouth. So you could do 2 ears, you could do the nose, you can do eyebrows, whatever you want. But I just want at least 5 layers over here. And then go out and pick 2 images of your own. Now these images can be whatever you want them to be. They can be people. So you could get 2 images. They could be animals. They could be like, I've had tigers on oranges. I mean, whatever you want to do. You just have to take 5 layers again and put them onto whatever you want to. You only have to go one direction, so you pick your image and then put it on your whatever one you want to create, and then turn that one in. You don't have to go back and forth on both of them. So you're going to turn in 2 pictures. You're going to turn in him, totally finished, and it doesn't have to be exactly like normal. You can make it totally normal if you want to. You can get a little crazy if you want to. And then you're going to turn in the other image of your creation. I did forget to show you one more thing. Remember the hue saturation. So if I needed to change the colors of his lips, see her skin tones don't match as much. Remember under image and adjustments, there's that hue saturation. Remember when we did Justin Bieber's sweater? That's what that was for. You've got brightness and contrast you could play with. So if I needed to brighten that up a little bit or take the skin tones down, so you can see just with that I can almost blend that in better. Or if you want to get really crazy, you could go up into your adjustments and do your hue saturation. And then you could play with coloring. So if I wanted to color, make his lips a total different color, you could go into that. Need to fine tune a little bit. Or if you wanted to make sure that it was more skin tone stuff, you could play with the lightness and the saturation to make it blend more. So you could take that either direction that you wanted to. So remember that image mode, brightness, contrast, hue, saturation. Okay? Questions? Have fun with it. This one's just kind of a little crazy, but it's a tool that's huge. You'll use it a ton.